Hi, everybody. Yeah, I'm going to be talking about the Super Nintendo Mini today. So, we're going to take a look at the 30 games that could be on the console. But you know what? I'm thinking there might be only 20. They may not get the rights to it. So, that's the thing that's questionable right now. But it's okay. So, you know what? We're going to start off with the typical one that came out when the Super Nintendo was released. And that is Super Mario World. Okay? That game is just splendid. It's a wonderful game. It's probably one of the best Super Mario games ever made. Okay? So, of course, they had to make a sequel. And since Yoshi was a big player in that game, they made Yoshi's Island. And notice how super is a lot in the titles, which is pretty funny. But you know what? Another super game that was Mario-based was the first to ever come out of the Super Nintendo. And it's huge now. I mean, now they have the 8 Deluxe version on the Switch, right? So it's Super Mario Kart. That laid the foundation on Super Mario Kart. It's just a wonderful game. Now, of course, this is another Nintendo title that was huge, that only was brought out after the black box games. Okay, silver title, Super Metroid. Right, so you have the Metroid NES, now you have the Super Nintendo version, which again, that game it's great, right? And they had Zelda 1 and 2 from the original Nintendo. Now we have Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past. And of course, I think that's one of the best games of all time. I mean, it's got to be up there, you know, with, well, obviously, if you're a Super Mario fan, you're bound to be a Zelda fan also, right? Now, Donkey Kong Country brings a whole new era to the Donkey Kong games that's going to be made in the future. Side-scrolling games. I mean, before you just had the one screen, so it's a lot, I think, just a lot better now. FZero. That one was a big one that was brought out on the launch titles, and it's a great game. Now this one here, SimCity. They brought this more on the PC, but now they have it on Super Nintendo. This game was brought again in future titles. Star Fox. You have Star Fox Zero and Star Fox 64. I mean, it's now gone a long way. People expect it. And then you have Pilot Wings. And there's your flying game right there. So you have a couple of those. So far we've talked about 10 games in the Nintendo world, okay? There is one that I want to mention that first I wasn't really going to include it in my list. But I'm thinking maybe Nintendo will say, hey, you know, there was one game that we didn't include with Super Mario's. We brought out 1, 2, and 3, but The Lost World was never in there. I mean, even though it was brought out in Japan at the same time, and they decided to make it into Super Mario 2. So that was it right there, the Japan version. Now we have Super Mario 2. That's what they brought out in the North American. So, of course, they have to bring out Super Mario AllStars because that has the Lost World. It has all 4 games in there. All right, so we're done with Nintendo. Well, actually, no. I'm sorry. There's one more. One more that I thought about in my head that I don't own it. But it's a Kirby game. I mean, they bring out Kirby on NES, so they might as well bring out Kirby Avalanche, okay? All right. So now we're into the copyrights. What I think is huge, which was for NES, would be all the Mega Man games, okay? They had 6. Capcom's like, all right, we're going to try something new with 16-bit. We're going to bring out the X version, okay? So bring out Megaman X. Of course, that game is a great game. And then they've gone on to release several of those games too. So you have both Mega Man and Mega Man X. Now what I'm thinking is, out of these, for RPG, okay, because they're probably not going to bring that many RPGs in it. They might only bring like 1 or 2, okay? What I'm really thinking is they might just bring the 1 and that's it, okay? So, which one do you think? Well, there's Final Fantasy on the NES Mini, so they probably will bring out Final Fantasy, either 2 and 3. I'm just thinking maybe 1 or, like, they're probably going to bring out Part 2, I'm thinking, out of those 2 games that I mentioned. So I'm just thinking 1 game will be selected out of those 2. So then we have Street Fighter 2 Turbo. And that, there. In the arcade era, that was huge. People would go in, they want to play fighting games, fight against each other versus, right? Now we can play it at home. It's like a huge thing. So I think the arcade market kind of went a little bit down because we could be playing these games at home, right? And who was the competitor of Street Fighter? I mean, you have Capcom, Next, he had Acclaim. Acclaim was right up there. And they brought out Mortal Kombat 2. Well, might as well put Part 2. The other one's Part 2 as well. This one actually was a better one. It had more characters and so on. That's what I think anyway. Alright, so next we have, and because I'm Canadian, I mean I have to add this in, but I don't know. They might not add it because they never did on the original NES Mini. But if they had a choice of something, it would be NHLPA 93. Okay, that's the game I would select. Now we have a couple other games that would have been on the NES Mini that they're gonna again brought out against Super Nintendo version. A lot better action adventure game strategy. Super Castlevania 4. Part 4 kind of brings out those three and puts it into one, and it is an ultimate game. Okay. So yeah, Super C. They didn't bring out Contra 1. They just brought out Super C. And we'll go from 2 to 3. We'll go Contra 3, the Alien Wars, right? There you go. Now, this game here, I'm either thinking fighting game. The market was huge with arcades. They were thinking, yeah, okay, well, we're going to try that. So they had Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, brought out Tournament Fighters, but they probably won't bring out this game. They're going to bring out the Turtles in Time, Part 4, right? So far I've selected 20 games. Those are your 20 that I think will be on the console. And let's say they say, oh, you know what, we're going to add 30. We're going to add 10 more, right? What are the 10 games? Well, I have a list. I made something up. So I'm naming off the 10. So again, these are more RPG based. So if they want to go to the realm of RPG and say, we're going to put 30 games, we're going to get the copyright for them all. It's going to be huge. Like they're $100, $200 a piece for some of these games. They're going to put them on the console. Then people will friggin' go. They're going to go flock to the stores and they'll want this like right away because these games are heavy. They're expensive. Okay. So you have ActRacer, Harvest Moon. Okay. Then of course you have Earthbound, right? But then there's some other ones like Super Ghosts and Goblins, okay? Shadowrun, Secret of Mana, okay? That's another one. Then you have Chrono Trigger. That's another big one there, okay? And then we're back to some of the sports games. Yay! Because there wasn't really any sports games at all with any of the titles I select, except for the NHL one, which I don't know. They might say, eh. So they might put instead, let's say we're going to 20 games, but maybe 30, who knows. We got NBA Jam, and Ken Griffey Jr., okay? Nintendo might pull off another Nintendo version, like another copyright Nintendo. Super Punch-Out, okay, that's a huge one there. Now, there's some other games that could be on it that I'm thinking that they might be in it, but you never know. I don't know. It's hard to say. We have Breath of Fire, Out of This World, Super Mario RPG. I don't know if they will, though. You see? Killer Instinct, which, again, we're going back to the fighting games. So, they already have 2. Then there's Super Double Dragon. Okay. So those are really your ones. Those are the ones I'm talking about. You never know, like these, you'll have to see what would happen, right? I mean, this is why I'm talking about it right now. So we got 30 games. There could be only 20. Hopefully they'll have more controllers individually for sale, right? Hopefully you won't have to buy aftermarket versions that aren't as good, or maybe they'll have more production. Like maybe it just won't last 5 months. It'll last longer this time because there'll be more people that would want it. But then you never know. They could bring out Nintendo 64, the Mini, on that. But it's like you're not gonna be able to open it. You can't put the games in. And then what are they gonna do? We're gonna have somebody hack it, so they're gonna be able to put all the games again. You never know. It's probably gonna happen. Hey. Hope you enjoyed it. Peace out. Yahoo!